Hi, how are you, Pastor Sandoval?
Hey, how's it going, Marissa?
Good, thank you.
All right. You sound good on my side, so I'm assuming I'm sounding good on your side
Yes.
as far as audio? Okay. Awesome. Okay, now let me see here. If you try to share, if you try to actually share the PowerPoint, can you right now?
Let me see. Looks like it.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. All right, you're good.
Looks good on your end? Okay.
Yeah. And folks are coming on in.
Hello, Pastor.
Hey. Is that
Donzo.
Danzo. How are you doing?
Donzo, Ruben. Hello, hello, Hauka. Hi,
Hauka.
Tabitha. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Pastor.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Pastor,
Good to
real
see
quick,
everyone.
somebody from Say San Diego texted me, and should they go on the public link that's on our website? I can forward them that
Yes.
versus coming in here to this one.
Yeah, because
Okay, that was my presumption. Okay, I'm gonna quick go forward that to them.
Hi, Marissa.
Hi. Nice
How
to-
are things going for you and your family? Everybody healthy?
They are, thank you.
Good, good. And I see Cindy as well, Cipriani.
Yeah.
How are you, Cindy?
Hi, everyone. I'm just watching today. I think our new U.S. Attorney, our acting U.S. Attorney, will be joining you in just a bit.
Oh, nice.
Good to see you.
Righty. So on my end, everyone sounds clear. Everyone looks good. No glitches. I had AT&T come into my home and like redo the whole internet wireless thing so that I could get a strong signal.
Okay, well, I have good reception out here in the desert.
Okay. Are you really out there? No.
No, just changing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I noticed that people can be distracted by your background. So let me just try something different.
They actually have a website that rates your background. Have you ever seen that? It's called Room Rater. It's really fun to look up on Twitter. They give you
Okay.
a 10 out of 10, or they complain that you have messy cords hanging and not enough interesting things on your wall. You guys all look great though.
Okay, well, that's on the to-do list.
And then Pastor, did Dr. Hood get in touch?
Yeah, he should be coming on board. So thanks for the backup.
Yep, absolutely.
Pastor, I did want to mention that probation is prepared to provide a youth update and an adult update this evening. I may have to duck out for another important call, but I'll
Okay.
do my best to be present for as much of the meeting as possible.
Sure. Appreciate that.
Pastor Sandoval, are those all photos that you have taken behind you?
Is that your family?
Yeah.
Oh, you're on mute.
There. Okay. Yeah, no, it's all family, but no, I didn't take the photos myself. My brother-in-law took some. I think he takes photos, and my wife. And then a couple of these was probably a professional. But yeah, a little mixture.
Is the top one behind you in the middle one of your grandchildren?
Yep, This is Mia Rose Sandoval. She is now 2 years old.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. 2 years old. There's Dr. Hood. Here we go. El doctor.
Hola.
hi, Dr. Hood.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. Uh, Pastor,
Yes.
will I be able to share my screen?
Yes. Marissa just tried to share her screen for her side and she was able to do it.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you will be able
Okay.
to. Yep. If you want to give it a little shot right now.
Okay. You see it?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm going to do a test run also with the youth committee share out.
Oh, everyone's doing presentation today, huh? Nice.
Awesome. That works too.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
So how's everybody been? I've been kind of busy doing so many other things. Dana, I know you've been busy and I know Pastor's been busy. I hope everybody's been well. Sorry I had to miss last time. But,
And hope no lingering from that car accident. Hope no lingering anything, any aches or
no,
pains. Or,
just my car. No, nobody really was hurt. It was just my poor car. Now my wife has got this big dent in it and she keeps trying to get me to get it fixed. So,
well, thank you, Dr. Hood, for your leadership with COVID-19 in our county. We are very cutting edge with
well, thank you.
serving our families in need. So I'm positive some of that is from your leadership because I know you're on the state task force. So
Yeah, I'm on a lot of
Thank you.
task force, but trust me, there's a lot of people involved. So I'm just one of them. So thank you, Dana.
Welcome, Gonzalo.
Pastor Sandoval, how you doing? Is that Dana Brown? How you
it
doing?
is. I'm doing good. I'm
A
doing
long
good.
time.
Long time. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Grateful you're here.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I still remember the story when I first met you at Mid-City after that shooting. We decided to bring trauma-informed training to our staff. Do you remember that?
I do.
I just remember it was a really hot August day and we were in that community room with no air conditioning and trying to address the issues in Mid-City. So,
It's great to see you again.
yes, same.
Beto, welcome, Beto.
Hi,
Mike.
Beto.
Yep. He's got the lowriders in the background. Oh.
That's right. That's right. Representing District 8.
Cool. Is that the Bombas Car Club? Because they're the ones that have a lot of the bombas, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, this was probably 3-4 years ago. Colorado Park Day.
Okay.
Congratulations, Beto, on your incredible newsletter.
Oh, thank you. Thank
The
you. Thank you
Wire.
for your contribution. Much appreciated. Much
Yeah.
appreciated.
Yes, congratulations, Beto. Dana was telling me about that. It's exciting.
Yeah. Thank you all. I was hoping to share it with everybody tonight. It was really cool being able to see a lot of different folks coming together and looking forward to future newsletters. It's going to be a quarterly thing. So I'm working with the sheriffs to be able to send those out there. Thanks.
All right.
Dr. Hood,
Got about 4 minutes.
Dr. Hood, this is Ruben Lave. I was just wondering, from your perspective, are you guys seeing some improvements on the COVID-19 front there at the clinic?
Yeah, absolutely. Things seem to be going in the right direction. And hopefully, if we're able to stay the course, especially with the vaccines rolling out, I think things are going to continue to get better. So I'm going to give a quick update on some of the data. So
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Hopefully by our next game commission meeting, Dr. Hood, in May, do you think we'll be able to do in person in May? Social distance or still virtual?
So possible, I would say May be a little bit early.
Okay.
Depends upon how the vaccinations go. So it's possible, but my guess is probably not May, but sometime June or after.
Got it.
That would be my guess.
Okay. All right, Chief is in. Welcome, Ron. Chuck.
Evening, sir.
Hey. Randy and Dwayne. Ernesto's in. Right, we got about 2 more minutes.
Pastor Sandoval, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna log up my video just so I can eat, because I haven't eaten since about 9 o'clock this morning. I've been in meetings all day, but I am here.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice seeing you, Chief.
Good seeing you, Chief Neslet.
Good seeing you too, Ruben.
Yeah, great to see you, Chief Nislite.
Brother DeAndre's on. Welcome.
Hey, what's going on? Long time, man. Glad everybody's
Yeah,
doing good. Give me
Are you
one
working
second.
out? Are you
Huh?
out, are you out jogging around?
Yeah, I got my son with me right now. I just went and took him and get something to eat. So trying to get him situated.
It's all good, yeah.
All right.
Right at dinner time, so I'm assuming a lot of folks will be chowing down. It's all good. If you have to.
You already know.
Andrew, welcome.
Thank you so much, Pastor Sandoval. I think we're going to be joined shortly by the acting U.S. Attorney. In fact, I think he's logged in. Did you have an opportunity to see Randy Grossman there?
Oh, yes, he is. He's on.
Great.
Welcome.
Who's that?
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Oh, how you doing?
Yeah, new U.S. Attorney's Office. Yeah.
I am, yes. Yes, I'm the new acting U.S. Attorney, effective March 1.
Awesome. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Randy, and good to see everyone. I see Bishop here. I see all the probation team. Good to see everybody.
Yep.
DeAndre, I see you. Mr. Ray King.
Yep. Welcome.
Right there? Okay.
Mr. Ray, Bishop. All right. It looks like we're getting a full house here.
Let me know when we have a quorum. Sandoval.
Yeah. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
How you doing, Bishop? Haven't seen you in a while. Looking well.
Pretty good, pretty good. Good to see you too.
Bishop, that was a strong interview you did on KPBS.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Some folks got their suits on. I feel like putting my suit on. Bishop is suited and booted with the tie. Dwayne,
Good evening.
welcome, sir. Welcome,
Hello.
Genevieve.
How you doing, Dwayne?
Hello,
How are
Dwayne.
you?
Hello, Genevieve.
I think we're getting out on the quorum, Dr. Hood.
Okay.
Mario, welcome. Summer, welcome.
Hi, Genevieve.
Yep.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Bishop, Dwayne, Summer. Yay.
All right, it's 6:01 on my side, and looks like we're good for a quorum. Dr. Hood?
Okay, first of all, welcome everybody. Welcome all commissioners and guests. First of all, can you hear me? Okay. I first of all want to apologize for suddenly missing last meeting, but it is nice to see these faces again. I want to officially call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask for a roll call. And I'm going to go around the pictures that I see and start with Commissioner Brown.
District Dana Brown, District 7, present.
Okay. Puerto. Commissioner Vasquez, you want to come off mute? Okay.
Yes, present. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Could you state your name?
Commissioner
and-
Vasquez. Yeah,
Yeah.
Commissioner Vasquez representing District 8.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Commissioner Stefan.
Good evening, Summer Stefan, District Attorney present.
Acting U.S. Attorney Grossman.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Randy Grossman here.
Okay. Commissioner King.
Ray King, Urban League present.
Commissioner Genevieve Jones-Wright.
Good evening, Genevieve Jones-Wright, representative for District 3.
Okay. Commissioner Brooks.
Hello, everyone. Commissioner DeAndre Brooks, District 4.
Commissioner Chief Neslet.
Here, San Diego Police Department. Good to see everybody.
Okay. Commissioner Valladolid.
Good evening, everybody. Commissioner Valladolid for Area 1 here.
Am I missing anybody, Pastor? I'm not seeing all the faces at once, so I'm going to need your help. Did I miss any commissioners for roll call?
Probation and Unified School District. I'm not sure if someone's specifically.
So this is Assistant Chief Ruben Leyva sitting in on behalf of Interim Chief Cesar Escuro. I may have to take a phone call, and so we have Deputy Chief Gonzalo Mendez and our team who will provide probation updates if I'm not available.
Okay, thank you.
And anyone for Unified School District?
And
No.
anybody from the sheriff's?
Good evening, sir. Chuck Cinemo here in sitting for Sheriff Gore.
Okay, thank you.
And Dr. Hood, Mike Morrill representing District 2.
Sorry, Mike. Welcome.
Quite okay, no problem. Good to see everyone.
So I think that is the roll call, and I want to welcome everybody. Is this, I'm assuming that the public is also involved in this. Is that correct, Pastor Sandoval?
Yeah, not on this Zoom link per se, but through the online, the city YouTube link.
Okay, so let me just say good evening to those who are listening on the Zoom link. My name is Dr. Rodney Hood. I chair the San Diego Gang Commission for Prevention and Intervention. I want to simply state our purpose. It's one to develop strategic collaborative efforts between the various agencies that are part of the commission. We make recommendations to the mayor and city council and advocate, formulate, and recommend adoptive, proactive gang policies. So there will be a time for the public to make comments, and you will have 2 to 3 minutes to make your comments. And but the commissioners will not be able to take any action on the comments that you're making. So with that, I want to welcome the commissioners and welcome the public and go to the next agenda item, which is approval of the minutes from January 7th, 2021. The minutes were sent out, and if there is any readiness to make a motion to approve the minutes, I see the hand of Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Hood. If I could make a suggestion on an adjustment after reading through them on Mothers with a Message, on the bottom of page 2 is, it says that they went into business in December of 2021. And we know we're not there yet. So I was going to reach out to Bevelin and see, because they started in 2013. And I wanted to find out, when did they get their nonprofit? So I would like to make that correction. I don't have the correct answer sitting here. I don't know if any of the other fellow commissioners do, but that is a correction needed. Thank you so much.
Okay. So with that correction, is there any other unreadiness? Okay, so I will take that as a motion to approve with the correction as stated by Commissioner Brown. Is there a second to approve the minutes as with the correction?
Seconded.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Morrell. All in favor to approve? Just kind of
Aye.
raise your hand. Okay.
Aye.
Let me do it this way because I've learned from Zoom. Maybe it's easier. Are there any opposed? And there's going to be an abstention from myself since I was not present. So I will abstain. Okay. So the minutes have been approved. We have
Dr. Hood, I'm sorry, this is Genevieve Jones-Wright. I'm also abstaining as I was not present for last meeting.
okay.
And me as well. I was not present the last meeting. This is Commissioner Brooks.
Okay. Okay, with those abstentions, the minutes have been approved. The next agenda item is the presentation Handle with Care program, District Attorney's Office. They're all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Hood. So thank you for the commission for inviting us to make this presentation. We're excited about it. It's a presentation about Handle with Care, and with me are Chief Deputy Dwayne Woodley and also Community Partnership Prosecutor Marissa Bejarano. Marissa will give the PowerPoint, the technical points about Handle with Care, but I want to give a preview. This started with Chief Dwayne Woodley looking around the country for best practices as to children and minors in different areas, and he saw this model of Handle with Care. So we studied it here in San Diego, and we decided that it's something, after discussing it with the communities we serve, along with law enforcement and school districts, that this is something that is much needed here in San Diego. But we also knew that we needed to make it really accessible. And fortunately, as part of our team, we have some pretty incredible designers of platforms, and they were able to actually create an app called Handle with Care that makes this process really simple, and we're able to provide it to all the school districts and all of law enforcement in a ready manner that makes it efficient and makes it flow in a really flawless way, at least so far. So what it is part of our effort to make sure that we reduce suspensions, school suspensions. We know that school suspensions are kind of a direct line to criminal behavior and then to incarceration, to the prison pipeline. So one of the things that we looked at is how do you interrupt school suspensions where teachers, even very well-intentioned teachers, are looking at a child that is misbehaving, that's acting out, not bringing their homework, being defiant, and immediately interpreting that in the obvious manner that this is a child that's, not responding, not behaving, throwing things around. But sometimes we know that these are children that have suffered from trauma. And but there's no way to communicate that to the school. There is a divide there. So this is none of these ideas, as we've all learned, are solve everything, applications. This is one solution to a big problem. And what we learned is that when police officers are responding to homes, whether it's a domestic violence call, which is the most common form of trauma to children, a child abuse call, a drug warrant that's being served to search for narcotics, or some kind of call of disturbance or a fight, all of those things, if a child is at home, there is no way for the police officer to inform the school that this child might have suffered trauma, and they're going to show up to school the next day with all of this baggage that's unresolved. So how do we cross that without, affecting privacy? So this app, what it does, it allows the police officer to send a message to the school, basically saying, handle with care, no other information. So that when the teachers and counselors get that and they see any kind of behavior, instead of jumping to a conclusion, they realize this child needs to be connected and provided more support, not less support. We saw a need for this even more so during COVID and the distance learning. You may have, some of you, seen all my 2 7-page letters to the governor and to every superintendent, to our leadership, outlining what I consider to be a second epidemic, which is the epidemic of the triple effect of online child exploitation that's taking place, child pornography, increase in sex trafficking of minors, the suicide ideations, depression that we're seeing at Radius Children's Hospital, with again, where we normally see 5 to 10 kids, we're seeing 30 kids in those conditions that are just heartbreaking. And we're also seeing a 40% reduction in reports. And that's because the eyes and ears of the protective and loving teachers and counselors and pastors and supportive community are not there to look at the red flags and report. So we felt an urgency to go ahead with this because we felt that it's very helpful for distance learning, but and also for Alive when kids are going back to school. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Marissa Bejarano, who came from the Attorney General's office, has been in our office, an excellent prosecutor, but has taken on the new position that we created regionally a year ago of Community Partnership Prosecutor. So Marissa, if you could go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you, Summer. Thank you for that introduction. And I'm excited to be here to share with you all the Handle with Care program and to show you what it looks like from both the law enforcement and the school and school district perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here with you all. Okay, so before I go into the details of the program, I did want to share with you this flyer poster that was created for all the participating agencies. And so it's meant to be used not only by our law enforcement partners that are sending the notifications, but also for all of the schools and the school districts that are receiving the Handle with Care notifications. Because I think it's a great example of what this program is all about. It's a way for the agencies to signal to the communities that they are serving that they are using the Handle with Care program, so that, as the flyer states, all children can feel safe and also learn. So with regards to how I was going to go through this program, I just wanted to give you a direction. First, I'm going to go over the program description and goals. I think Summer covered a lot of what I intended to cover in that regard. How our office became involved, how the program works, again, actually show you screenshots of what it looks like, and let you know some of the actual status and feedback that we've received from the community. So as Summer stated, Handle with Care is meant to be a communication tool. That's what it is. It's a way for law enforcement, police officers to give a heads up to not only the school, but the school district that corresponds to the child. And the police officers are giving a heads up to the school and the district when they encounter a school-aged child at an incident that they respond to. And when they believe that that incident that they responded to would have been traumatic for that child. And the whole goal behind Handle with Care is to provide the teacher that has that student in class the next day this notification before the child gets to school, so that they have that heads up. And as Summer mentioned, the only message that is provided to the school and the school district is Handle with Care. And again, that's purposeful and intentional to confirm that, no privacy, confidentiality is breached, but only the message Handle with Care is sent. Something else I'd like to note is that right now, while law enforcement police officers are the agencies sending the notifications, our intent is to expand the program to all first responders. So we would also have fire departments sending notifications, because we do know that there are instances when police officers don't respond, but instead only the fire department would respond. And in those instances, some of the incidents may be traumatic. So we also want to expand to the fire department. The goal, as Summer mentioned, is to provide notice to the schools so that first the teachers can serve as silent observers, but also so that they can provide trauma-informed support to children that are exposed to trauma. And the idea here is to help all children succeed despite any circumstances that they might be experiencing at home. It's also important to note that we're giving the educators the heads up before the child is getting to school the next day, so that they can be proactive in their approaches, to come from a place of compassion and grace when they encounter or are discussing or talking to a student that has experienced trauma, versus being reactive. And so some of the ways that this may come into place in a live classroom are: a student might come to school the next day without having their homework completed. And so giving grace to that student and understanding that, they can turn in the homework the next day. Or if they're supposed to be taking a test that day, giving them the opportunity to take the test, in a couple days later, whatever it might be. Or if a student comes to school tired, there's an understanding as to why the child is tired, and giving them the opportunity potentially to go rest in, for example, a nurse's room. So just coming from a place of grace and compassion for these students, and providing them with support, and also providing them whatever services and resources already may be in existence, again, at both the school site level and also at the district level. So how did our office become involved in the Handle with Care program? As you all know, the mission of our office is not only to ethically and fairly prosecute criminals and to protect victims, but also to prevent crime in partnership with the communities that we serve. And this really is a prime example of how we are working in partnership with other agencies and with the community to prevent crime. Adverse childhood experiences. So as you all know, I'm sure, what the ACEs study told us is that 60% of children experience some sort of trauma. But of course, how they react as a response to that trauma differs. For some children, it might affect their ability to focus. It might change their behavior in the classroom. And ultimately, that can lead to chronic absenteeism, truancy, suspension, expulsion, and of course, in the worst case scenario, a child ending up in the juvenile justice system. And so what we've also learned is that untreated adverse childhood experiences only exacerbate over time. So as Summer mentioned, this is just one tool that may be used to help disrupt the school to prison pipeline. And the way that it helps as a tool to disrupt that school to prison pipeline is that, again, it offers a heads up to the educators to come from a place of compassion, empathy, grace to a child that is experiencing trauma, and offering them support and resources that the schools and the districts already have available but may not be utilizing. Then as Summer mentioned, our office learned about the Handle with Care program back in 2018. And the program that we first learned about was focusing on children under stress that was being utilized in Stanislaus County. But what we learned in speaking to them is that their program was modeled after the Handle with Care program that was originally created in West Virginia back in 2016 as a direct response to the ACEs study. As of November of last year, this shows, if you see all the blue stars on this map, it shows all of the jurisdictions that are currently using a Handle with Care program or have a program in place. The purple stars are where they're actually in the development phase of the program, and the yellow stars indicate where there is interest to create a program for that jurisdiction. So when we first learned about the program, we brought together all of the agencies that you see here on the screen: the San Diego County Office of Education, the Chula Vista Police Department, the Chula Vista Elementary School District, and Sweetwater Union High School District. And our plan from the inception was not just to create a program specifically for these agencies, but rather to create a model that would be able to be used throughout the county to serve all, we have, I believe, 42, 45 school districts in the county and all of the law enforcement agencies that are serving those school districts. And so what we learned as we were developing our program here in San Diego is that the other jurisdictions were still using paper notifications. So if you see here on the screen, this is an actual notification that's being used in West Virginia. But we knew, again, that if we wanted to be able to provide this service to every single student throughout the county, which is over 500,000 students, that we were going to have to create a different program here in San Diego to serve everyone. And so one of our senior engineers within our ITD department at the San Diego County District Attorney's Office, after hearing from all of the agencies, to develop an app that, again, serves every school district in the county and every law enforcement agency. And also, it's important to note, or significant, I think, that this app that has been developed, that I'm going to go through and show you how it works, is being utilized as a model right now throughout the country. West Virginia has contacted us to learn about how our app was developed so that it could be utilized in their jurisdiction. We've also received calls from Washington, and I have met with individuals in that jurisdiction regarding the development of the app as well. So how does the program get started in each school district? In order to get started, I first meet with the school district to determine their interest level, if they are ready to implement the program. And then I also meet with the law enforcement partners that service the school district. And if both are ready to start implementing the program, then we go ahead and get started. The training for the police officers is that with regards to police officers, we are training officers that if they respond to an incident and there is a school-age child there present, and the officer believes that the incident would have been traumatic for the child that is present, that they send a notification. If there is any doubt about whether or not a notification should be sent, then we train them is to err on the side of sending the notification. Another thing that's important to note is that we aren't just telling the officers to only focus on incidents that are criminal, but for example, an example that I often give the officers is they might respond to a significant car crash where a parent is taken to the hospital via ambulance, or maybe not, but it may have been a significant car accident. In that situation, that child might be at school the next day, and they might be concerned about their parent who potentially is still in the hospital or is at home injured. And in that situation, we'd also want a notification sent so that support can be provided to that child because they, again, have experienced trauma. So this is what it looks like from the police officer's perspective. The app is a web-based app using a Microsoft platform. So it's not an app that you can download from the Apple Store or anywhere else, but instead you have to have a validated email address and username to be able to send a notification. So the officers can use either their cell phone, a tablet, or they can also use the mobile terminal within their police vehicles to send a notification. Once they log in to the website, and they're an authorized user, then the middle screen comes up right here that you see. There are 3 fields that have to be entered. They have to select a school, and they have to insert the child's first and last name. Those are the only 3 fields that are required. With regards to the selecting the school, the only schools that will be available on the drop-down menu are schools that have already gone through the training. So they understand what the notification means, and they have also received the trauma-informed training through the San Diego County Office of Education. Then there are also fields for a date of birth, a grade level, and an optional identifier. And the example given on there is a teacher's name. So when I provide the training to the police officers, we let them know that, well, only the school and the child's name are required, that some other identifier is going to be needed in order for the school to be able to know who the notification corresponds to. Because, for example, there might be 3 Jane Does at a school, and so something to help the school know who this corresponds to. Then once the officer hits the green button and sends the notification, the system is set up so that the notification goes to individuals at the school level and also the selected individuals at the district level. Generally, there's about 3 persons that are selected for each school to receive the notifications. Usually it's a principal, a school psychologist or counselor, social worker, whoever it is, it's individuals that have been selected at the school site that are going to be able to let the teacher know that this notification has been received before school starts. And then the district determines who at the district level they would like to receive these notifications. With regards to the school districts, I wanted to provide a brief overview of what it looks like from their perspective. The districts, in order to participate, go through a training as well. There is a principal training, which includes not only an overview of the program, but also the trauma-informed training that is conducted by the San Diego County Office of Education. And we are using a train-the-trainer model so that once the principals are trained, they each go to their sites and train their teachers. And I have an example as we go through here when I get to the San Diego County Office of Education, but they have created a number of resources that are available to teachers with regards to being trauma informed and also do's and don'ts. So what does it look like what does the notification look like from the school perspective? Those that are authorized to receive notifications at the school level will receive an email, and it'll say handle with care notification. And then there's a link, and they will click on the link to actually get the notification. In order to get the notification, they will have to sign into the web-based app to have access to the notice. And then this is what a notification looks like from the school once they log in. It'll say handle with care notification for, and it'll have the school name here. A random notification number will be assigned. It'll let the school know who sent the notification. So this is an example, Heartland Fire and Rescue. It'll again have the school name, and it'll have the child's first and last name. And then right here, you'll see it says status, and that lets the person looking at the notification know whether or not the teacher has been notified, if the notification has been viewed, etc. So in this case, it shows this notification has been viewed. And then when you look at the created box, it has a time and a date stamp, and that lets the users know when the agency, the police agency, sent the notification. In the middle of the screen here, you'll see a demographic section. The first box you'll see, it says teacher notified. That box is there so that whoever it is that is going to notify the teacher clicks on that box. And what that does is it updates the entire system so that everybody at the school site that has access to the notifications and everybody at the district level knows that the teacher has been notified of the notification. So it prevents multiple people from going to the teacher and saying, you know, Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so, do you know that there's a notification? But instead, everybody knows that the teacher has been notified. That box is also important to us at the district attorney's office, because once that box is checked and the teacher has been notified, then the notification purges from our system 1 week later. So there is no database, no spreadsheet being kept by our office of the notifications being sent. Again, we're simply providing the notification to the school, and once the teacher has been notified, this is purged from the system. If that teacher notified box is not checked, then the notification will purge after 10 weeks. 10 weeks was determined to be an appropriate time to account for various breaks that the school might have, like a summer break, longer breaks. There's also the grade level and date of birth sections here in case that information was uploaded into the system by the officer. And there's also a section here for gender, race, or ethnicity. Those sections were inserted, and those demographics were asked to be collected by the San Diego County Office of Education. And they asked for that information because as a partner, they do receive an anonymous listing of the notifications sent throughout the county. So they don't receive any child's names. They don't receive any date of births. Instead, they receive a listing that a notification was sent to a particular school, when it was sent, and if this demographic information is inserted in terms of gender, race, or ethnicity, that information is also included. The San Diego County Office of Education asked for that information because they wanted to be able to look and see if there was any trends in terms of notifications being sent to any parts of the county, in order that they could be able to provide additional resources and support to the extent that there are parts of the county where there are more children experiencing trauma. Now moving, this is what it looks like from a school district perspective. If you are an authorized user for the school district, then you will be able to see every single notification sent for every school within your district. And again, you're also able to see, as you see here, the status, what the status is of each notification sent for your school. So if you are an assistant superintendent and you see that there are multiple notifications where the teacher has not been notified, it gives you the opportunity to follow up and determine, why nothing is happening potentially with notifications. As a district user, you also have the ability to click on any one of these notifications to obtain further details about each notification. So I'm going to show you what that looks like on the next slide. So this here says history for notification, and it has the random number that's assigned to it. But you can see here, it'll have the date and timestamp, the action, the first and last name of the person, and the agency that that person is associated with. So for example, it says when the notification was sent by, and it'll have who first viewed the notification. And then once the teacher is notified under the action, you would see teacher notified. And because you have to log in to view and update the notifications, it will have the individual at either the school site level or at the district level who notified the teacher. And then this is just the one slide that I wanted to show you all regarding the information and the training that's being provided by the San Diego County Office of Education. They are providing the trauma-informed portion of the training. And so their training covers the impact of trauma on students, what trauma looks like in the classroom, and also now virtually by having distance learning in place, what educators can do. They handle with care's do's and don'ts. And of course, an important don't that is taught to everyone is the importance of an educator not trying to take the role of becoming a detective or trying to pry into the incident, but instead just recognizing that this child has experienced trauma. And again, coming to them from a place of compassion and sensitivity. And then finally, the final portion of their training is the review of resources that they have created. And this is one example of one of the handouts that they have created, which is using a trauma-sensitive lens with students. And so it provides tips on what teachers might see and statements that they could make that would be supportive in situations where a child has experienced trauma. So now with regard to where we are here in San Diego County, the active districts and law enforcement agencies are set forth at the top. Chula Vista Elementary School, Sweetwater Union High School District, Cajon Valley School District, South Bay Union School District, and National School District. With just those 5 school districts out of the over 40 that we have here in San Diego County, I learned today that we are potentially the largest jurisdiction that has handle with care in place. To be added this year, school districts that we are already have trained or in the process of training are San Ysidro School District, Lemon Grove, La Mesa Spring Valley, Vista, Mountain Empire, and Coronado. School districts that have expressed interest to us are San Diego Unified, Grossmont High School, San Marcos, and Carlsbad. And this, in terms of some of the feedback that we've received, I wanted to share this word cloud with you all. After we provided the training of the Handle with Care program to Vista Unified School District, they had over 100 of their educators take part in the training. And some of their initial thoughts about the presentation and about the program was that this was informative, relevant, important, timely, compassionate, sensitive, impactful. So just really powerful words to express what the program meant to those educators. And just finally, before I end, the program, of course, is still being utilized right now during COVID, during distance learning. And I have had the opportunity to speak with some of the principals and some of the other individuals at the school sites or at the district level regarding how the program is being utilized during COVID. And depending upon whether it's a high school or elementary student, it's been different. But with regards to principals and school counselors at the high school level, what they both indicated is by having the Handle with Care program in place and receiving these notifications, it's given teachers and counselors the opportunity to simply check in with their students, whether that means giving them a call and asking them how they're doing, how school is going for them, whether or not there are any additional resources or support that can help them with school. and just really letting the child know that they're valued and cared for by the school is how the program is being utilized right now. So it is still positive, it's still impactful, and it's still important. And I have my contact information up here. If anybody would like to contact me or if they have any questions. And I think that is all. Summer, would you like me to turn it back to you?
No, you covered it. And so I don't know, Dr. Hood, if there's time for questions or, but we're very happy to present this. I know that San Diego Police Department, Chief Nizlight is ready to go with it as soon as San Diego Unified agrees to, because it's kind of led on the school level. The school has to agree with it. And if they do, then every police department has bought in. So we're just waiting on all the school districts. But I'm very certain with this positive feedback that they all talk and that it's going to be something that everybody wants.
Commissioner Stefan and Ms. Bajarino, thank you for that excellent presentation. I think it's a wonderful program. Do any of the commissioners or anybody else have any questions, comments?
Yeah, Dr. Hood, no questions, but just a phenomenal program. So my kudos to Summer and Marissa for this program. And Summer's absolutely right. We are ready. San Diego PD is ready to partner in this. It's, I think, an incredible program, and we look forward to being involved in it.
So I don't know if anybody's on from the San Diego Unified, but I see other
Actually, we do have
districts.
somebody from San Unified, Catherine Nod.
Yeah.
She's representing Cindy Martin today.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering where they are, or if there was hesitancy, or what the issue was. with the
Yeah,
San
Cindy
Diego
should be
Unified.
joining us soon. I'm here on behalf of Cindy, taking in all the information. I know that we have met with Jesus Sandoval and had requested information, including cost and tech, and have yet to receive that information yet to share with Cindy.
Okay.
There's no cost on our part at all. This is not a profit business. So we're, I know schools think that things have a cost, but there is no cost for us. There's, of course, always the internal cost of making it work for you all, but there's just no cost for the app. That's there to serve everybody. Yeah.
And I just wanted to thank you for doing this, because as the district attorney's office was doing this back in 2018, Dana Brown was the one that brought it kind of to our attention as a gap that was needed because of our community assistance support team. We were responding to homicides, to violent incidences, and we've noticed the trend that after we do that initial support on the victim side or the perpetrator side, usually the kids are the ones that were falling through the cracks, and they were missing school, or the school needed to be notified. And so we had already heard about the handle with care, and Summer was already, 10 years light speed ahead of us. And so we were having conversations behind the scenes with Mario and Catherine as to how can we actually implement this now within the city, because we knew that there was other counties that you had already done this. So just hearing that you're ready to go, SDPD is ready to go, I think is now just closing the loop of communication and getting the blessing from the Unified School District to work out the logistics to make it happen.
So
that's exactly right. And I remember vividly when Dana Brown, who is our trauma-informed guru, was talking about it, and I had a smile because I wouldn't say we were ahead of her, but we were kind of traveling in the same sphere as Dana Brown on this. So it's great.
I have a question. This is Mario Valladolid. Even though I'm representing Area 1, I'm also a resource counselor in San Unified School District. And we've been doing, like what Pastor Sandoval said, we've been kind of doing like a grassroots effort to try to notify schools that a student of theirs may have been indirectly or directly affected by an incident. We have also the luxury of having a school police department. You talked about the training in there for school police, city police departments. I mean, I would feel like if, part of this, it would be also necessary to train our school police. They've already been trained in restorative justice practices because, as many of you already know, I mean, we just passed the restorative discipline policy this past November. So our district is already moving in the direction that you all talked about, and having teachers and principals and law enforcement already thinking in that way of how do we reduce suspensions and expulsions, and how do we look at alternative ways of being able to do that. So this would fit perfectly in that. And I know I can't speak for Cindy Martin, and I can't speak for Catherine Knott, who's the representative today, but I would feel that if I had to guess, we would be moving in that direction. If we were to, what would be the procedure in order for us to, I guess, get a meeting? Would it be a meeting with you, Commissioner Summers? Would it be a meeting with you, Marisa? Or, how would that work? Just the logistical part.
Well, we're ready to meet anytime. I think we just need, everybody's been, overwhelmed with COVID and everything. We feel very certain that San Diego Unified is going to come on board. Our ask would be that they come on board soon, so that we're definitely, and if they do, then the police chief is ready, and we can do any training that needs to be done. The virtual world has really provided an opportunity for us to expedite trainings. But Commissioner Valadi, you can speak with me or Marissa. She has all the details. We know you've been supportive of this, all along, and we know the school district will be. It's just there's a lot on everybody's plate, but the sooner the better.
And Summer, if I can just also add, Commissioner, Chief Florentino from San Diego Unified School District, I have spoken with him, and he is absolutely interested and also wants to have his officers trained. So he's on the same page.
So my question is, and maybe either Dana or Marissa, any data that can tell us the impact these programs have had elsewhere as far as decreasing the behavioral issues that these children sometimes develop, or school to prison, or it hasn't? Do they keep that data?
I think that would be a really difficult thing to measure, because the idea is that the teachers are going to come and have a different interaction with students than they traditionally would have. In terms of, how it's affecting their behavior, I don't know if we'd actually be able to collect data on, if anybody would be able to, including the school.
Well, I guess what I'm going at is not specific data on the specific child, but school districts. I think one of the reasons why this was formed is that we realize it has a traumatic experience on the child. They act out, and I've heard some data in the past about how many children are being suspended or reprimanded, so has there been data like overall looking at suspensions or that type of thing?
Dr. Hood, you make an excellent point. I think, at a minimum, this program needs feedback circle, at least a survey and a connection. It's coming along other programs. For example, I've altered, all the school districts have been notified that I won't participate in the punitive truancy programs, and that we will only allow for, I'm not going to write nasty letters to parents and stuff like that. So it's coming along, but we provided hubs for care for kids. So it's coming along other solutions together. But I will meet with my team, Dr. Hood, and get back to you, because I agree that we need we need to follow data and make sure that there probably is something we can measure, and we should measure it so that other regions would want to apply it.
Okay, thank you. Dana, Commissioner Brown.
Commissioner Stefan, this is just so profoundly uplifting. Thank you for your leadership, and Marissa, on manifesting this and the innovative strategy of developing an app that is user-friendly for all the law enforcement, all the different agencies on behalf of our children and youth. And this is just wonderful how it's planting those seeds, like Marissa shared, of grace and compassion with our students who are suffering. And so knowing the app is something that the entire nation is looking at. Handle with Care, the originators of it in West Virginia. It's so uplifting, and because listening to you when you first started, about 40% of reporting has gone down, yet domestic violence, abuse, and human trafficking are skyrocketing. This is one strategy that is weaving through of how law enforcement and schools can really wrap around our children, our youth, and our families. So I just really want to honor your agency for bringing this forth, and it's tremendously exciting to see all the school districts, hopefully a year from now, all 41 or however many districts we have in the county, and it's really that healing centered social fabric. This is that one connector, and I would imagine that this is going to help build trust between law enforcement and schools, and families, in communities in need. And we all know, I've gone to that Train the Trainer at the County Office of Ed, and it's absolutely wonderful. And we all know here that when we're activated in our amygdala and we're in fight, flight, or freeze, we're not able to access our thinking brain in the prefrontal cortex. So having our educators really understand that, and this is one way to help lift up that empathy building, it's beautiful, because our children and youth cannot learn when they can't access their logic, reasoning, emotional control, and capacity to learn. So this is one more solutions-oriented weaving through that's really healing centered. So I just want to congratulate you for the leadership, your entire team.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for that. I see Commissioner Valladolid. I'm going to make Commissioner Valladolid's last comment so we can move the agenda. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, because when we're looking at all of our children, I'm wondering if this would be also ideal for probation to be a part of this, because some of our kids who, if they're part of the incident that happened, they end up getting arrested. If they're on parole already or on probation already, there's, and we usually get the students that are coming out of juvenile hall or have been arrested, and then we get a re-entry. And we don't necessarily hear about it. Like, we don't hear about it until we get them back into our schools. It would be nice if there was some type of triangulation between the fact of the incident that happened. One of our students ends up getting arrested. Probation ends up finding out through the arrest, through the DA, kind of like we do with the NCRC with the Restorative Community Conference that we do, how the DA's office notifies the NCRC group that they have a case. Maybe having the probation be able to also be a part of that, just in case we miss somebody, because unfortunately we do have not a large number, but we do have some kids who do end up getting arrested over the weekend. And so it would be nice to also be informed of those kids, even though they may not have a parent who was affected by it, but the fact that we would know that they were affected by this by an incident or arrested, that would also help us.
It's an excellent thought, and there also could be younger siblings that are in the home when something's happening. We'll certainly have that conversation. Our team will put it on the schedule to talk with probation, Chief Leyva, and see where that leads us in this process. Thank you for that comment.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for this discussion. The next agenda item is the public comments. Pastor Sandoval, do we have any public comments?
Nope, no comments.
Okay, no public comment. Then we have no commissioner highlights. There are no action items. I'm going to go to the information scan, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Chief Neslet or his representative to give us the gang statistics.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hood, Chief Nislite. Just want to, introduce Lieutenant Mike Ramsey from our gang unit, who will provide these stats. I'll turn it over to Mike.
Good evening, everybody. Mike Ramsey from the gang unit, and I have the stats for January and February. I'll start with January. We had a total of 1 gang-related homicide, 1 attempted homicide. There were 11 assault with deadly weapon cases, and there was 2 shooting either at house or vehicle cases, 3 gang-related robberies, 8 auto thefts, and 31 other related gang-related crimes. That could be anything from batteries to vandalism. And then also during the month of January, we recovered 5 handguns or weapons, firearms, I'm sorry, that were illegally in possession. And then also February, we had no gang-related homicides. We had 1 attempted homicide, 10 assault with deadly weapon cases, 2 shooting at houses or vehicle cases, 3 robberies, 3 auto thefts, and 25 other gang-related crimes. And then we did have an increase with firearm arrests and recoveries. We recovered 17 firearms in February.
Okay. Thank you for that. Just 1 minute. Pastor Sandoval, I see a notice from Commissioner Genevieve Jones-Wright that the public is not able to access through the link that was provided. Is there any way to fix that?
I can try to send a quick email here.
Okay. While he's
Thanks
doing
for
that,
letting me know.
yeah. The report, are there any questions of Chief Neslet or his representative from the report?
I have a question, Commissioner Valladolid. Last time we got a really good presentation by San Diego PD, and in that presentation they said that there was an increase in ghost guns that were being taken off of young people, of adolescents. I wanted to know if that's been gone down, or if it's gone up, or if it's pretty much been the same that it was since the last time that we met.
Mario, I don't have the exact stats, but we have definitely seen an increase. We do track the number of ghost guns. We started late in 2018. And when I looked at the first 2 months of 2021, we almost had as many in the first 2 months of 21 that we did in the entire year of 2019. I think we were well over 400 since late 2018. And that was a month ago. And it seems lately that for almost every single gun that is technically legally manufactured, we are recovering also a ghost gun. And I know from talking to LAPD, they're seeing something very similar. So ghost guns are very much a concern of us. We're seeing them used in a lot of crimes right now, from everything ranging from the robberies, the assaults, and the non-fatal gun shootings in our homicides. And I know we recovered quite a few guns in the last couple of weeks, and a lot of those were ghost guns.
Thank you, Chief.
I know I should know this. Could you tell me what a ghost gun is?
Yeah, a ghost gun, you'll hear it referred to as 2 things. You'll hear it referred to as a ghost gun or an 80% gun. And what that is you can do it mail order. There is absolutely no 10-day waiting period, no basically check of your record to see if you're a prohibited person. What happens is it gets emailed to your house just like you bought a shirt. And if you have a drill press or a drill and they give you a little bit of a jig, within about an hour, maybe 90 minutes, you have a fully functioning firearm that is unlicensed and not traceable.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you for that. The next is the update of the probation department. I'm not sure who's going to be giving that.
Yeah, this is Assistant Chief Ruben Leyva. I'll go ahead and begin. Thank you, Dr. Hood. We begin just really with heavy hearts, and our minds and hearts are going out to our Asian American community. A lot of violence nationally taking place. And so we want to recognize that. And I know that all of you have that sense of protection for everyone. And so I'm sure if it's affecting us, it's affecting all of you. That being said, we're down to 157 youth today in custody, one positive probation youth with COVID-19 who's being quarantined according to protocol in custody at juvenile hall. In addition to that, thanks to all of the folks on this call for keeping probation in mind. And we certainly want to do everything we can do to not stigmatize or criminalize adolescent behavior. So we're certainly interested in having discussions. I'm going to allow Tabitha Wilburn to talk about our youth side, and she'll be followed up by Ernesto Garcia, and I'll let Deputy Chief Gonzalo Mendez close out the probation report. Thank you. Tabitha.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm just going to give you a couple of the statistical information on what we have. Lately, we've had to do a couple of little fourth waiver searches on our youth. We've had youth come with replica guns, and some youth have been arrested for having guns. Our probation has been proactive in preventing that by trying to have the youth come in, go out to the residents and do some fourth waivers, not a whole bunch. We only do some when there are indications on Facebook, some other social media report that there may be a weapon. We've been very proactive in sending our youth to our resilience program for those with lived experiences. We find that that has been very helpful. We've also increased our referrals to our achievement center in order to prevent the youth from being out in the community so late. They have other activities to do, even if it's virtual. It's kind of hard with the pandemic being in the purple tier, but now that we're in the red tier, we hope to be a little bit more out in the community and have the kids may come in the office a little bit more frequently. We find that's very helpful when they know that someone's out there trying to guide them in other ways. They seem to act differently and do some pro-social activities instead of being out in the community doing other things. Also, the Choice program has 23 referrals and 2 are pending. So we're still trying to make sure that we get them in other programming to keep them active and get their probation conditions done, as well as help them out with work readiness programs and jobs within the community. So we're hoping that that will assist with some of the activities going out in the community. And that's all I have for juveniles. So Ernesto, I believe, is next. So Ernesto.
Hi, good evening. So I want to talk about one item, and it's going to be a pilot program. It's going to be called the TAPE program. So it's going to target young adults in the ages of 18 to 25. It's still in the beginning stages, so more info to come. So hopefully in the next gang commission meeting, I can provide you guys with more information about that program. And Deputy Chief Gonzalo Mendez is going to give an update with was it AB 1950.
Hey, good evening now. I was thinking it was the afternoon, but I see a lot of familiar faces. I'm super excited to provide a really short brief. And as I sit here, I wanted to really talk about something that I think everyone on this call can use. Our amazing team developed a reentry roadmap for our clients during COVID as a result of not being able to have the same interaction. Our team got together and created a 34-page document, and it really outlines, a variety of different things when someone gets out of a custodial setting, to include like what important documents does someone need? How do I get a license? How do I get an ID? How do I get Social Security? How do I get housing? How do I get treatment? Where can I get benefits? Where can I go to school? I don't want to take up a lot of time because it's 34 pages, but I'm hoping that Pastor Sandoval can send this out to everyone. And the unique piece of this is that you don't have to be on probation to use it. There's information on food banks, transportation. I think it's a great resource for, like I said, anybody who's looking to get a job, get re-enrolled into school. I did want to add a little bit about Ernesto's comment on our transitional age youth. As you know, we had a board of supervisor presentation recently, and it's always been a near and dear part of probation is to really, let's not forget about the 18 to 24-year-olds. We have approximately 1,200 on probation right now, and we want to create a program that's really going to focus on how do we improve their outcomes. And so we'll be reaching back to this group. We're going to get some community input. We're going to provide wraparound services, all the things that we know work. But we need to start with the pilot program to really kind of fine tune it before we can hopefully roll it out countywide. And that's my update. Thank you.
Gonzalo, thank you for that. Ron Van, did you have anything to add that may have been overlooked?
No, sir. I support my DC Tabitha Wilburn's comments, and I just look forward to working with everybody out in the community to make a safer place out there for everyone.
Okay, and I think that concludes probation's report. And Chief Neslett, we look forward to more conversations about no shots fired. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruben.
Okay, any questions from any commissioners on the report? Okay, really appreciate that, and really appreciate all the work you do. Want to go to the next agenda item, and these are committee updates. Commissioner Elizabeth Bustos is unable to attend today, so we will get an update next meeting. I'm going to go to Commissioner Dana Brown, the Youth Standing Committee.
Oh, Dr. Hood, sorry for interrupting. Bishop Bowser has to check out in a little bit because he has a church service at 7:30. And we were wondering if it was okay to bump him up.
Oh, yes.
Before he checks out.
Absolutely. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And he's gonna talk about the new program, the No Shots Fired.
Okay. Sorry, Bishop Bowser, please go ahead.
Bishop, you're muted.
Yes, so I thought you was gonna do an introduction there, Pastor Sandoval. but yes, I just wanted to present on real quickly. This presentation could take a good while, but I know you all, so I'm gonna try to skim through it. Just give you some of the basic information about what we're doing with the No Shots Fired program. And just starting out, the No Shots Fired program is modeled after several different types of evidence-based best practices programs throughout the nation. One is modeled after the ceasefire that Reverend Jeffrey Brown started. He also one of the creators of the ceasefire, and he started Seasons of Peace. Then it's also modeled after focused deterrence, which our focus would be gun violence, and it's also modeled after advanced peace, which is up in Sacramento, Stockton, I believe, Richmond, and they started in Fresno. Devon Boggins started that, and then of course, what we do with CAS through the Cure Violence, which deals with hospital interventions and so on. So the No Shots would include all of those different types of models that we're trying to use. One of the main components that we're going to be doing, and we're working in collaboration with Chief Neslett, SDPD, with Monica Montgomery Stepp, Councilmember Monica Montgomery Stepp. I'm not sure, but I think Councilmember Elo also wants to get involved in this. And I'm hoping, I know Chief Neslett is working on it, but I'm hoping that the DA's office and also probation, will most definitely jump on board and be a part of this, because it most definitely be needed, especially for the referrals when it comes to individuals that have had some type of arrest or contact or convictions with guns, because that's what our focus is. And we basically want to reduce the gun violence. But through our referrals, we want to set up a scholarship. It's originally designed to be 18 months, but I think based on the budget of what the city is looking at, if once we go through the pilot and if it's implemented for a full year, it'll be 12 months. But if we get more funding, it'll be 18 months. And this is very important because the scholarship program is based on what we offer is individuals for support services anywhere from $500 to $1,500 a month. And we're trying to look at maybe bringing in 20 participants, 10 youth and 10 adults. We have a 3-tier system for ages 12 to 17, which is the first tier. They will get no scholarship, of course, and we're working with James Wiley Jr. with Real Teams with that, because he has a great outreach to high-risk youth when it comes to that. Second tier would be 18 to 24 years old, and then the third tier would be 25 to 31 years old. And to qualify for the scholarship, these individuals must have an individual life plan mapped out and demonstrated commitment to fulfill obligations, right? No guns, no agreement to not engage in any type of violent activity. And this program is designed to create a space and an infrastructure that is safe to have a long-term positive, safe, protective relationship being a part of the community, right? And one of the things is that for sure we're going to have separate cohorts, because depending on individuals that we get, we can't bring rivals together. But we are working right now on the location that we want to get. So we'll probably be doing it on different days as we find a neutral location to be able to do these. And so with these individuals, we're going to engage them every day. We're in contact with them every day from different people. We'll have referrals where they'll go out, maybe like to Wraparound, Paving Great Futures, work that they do, and other organizations and so on. We help them set up a map for life and help them take big steps in that, right? We'll have people around them to support them and hold them accountable and to help them reach their goals, because this has to be done. They have to be engaged every day. And so we want to make sure they're connected to the community and to whatever services and support that they need in order to live well and to thrive and to do real good. There's one other part of this that it's not really funded for, but I do want to mention it, that Devon them did, which I thought was very great. And they did what they called Transformative Travel. And you take these individuals, they visit colleges, they go to support community events like Feeding the Hungry, take them on trips around the world, different places like that. And they would have to travel with someone who they tried to cause harm with before. And this would demonstrate and show that these individuals are really trying to change and turn their life around and so on. And so, of course, we'll be doing all the other different types of things that I mentioned with Seasons of Peace, which deals with basically outreach into the community, doing a lot of different events and so on to have that discussion about nonviolence and the hospital interventions. We'll continue to do that with the cast and so on, and getting out to the community, working with the various OGs, because there's some, I'm a former gamer, but there's many that don't like to be called former gamer because they still have the connections and influence in those gangs to be able to change minds. And so we most definitely need those individuals. So one of the things we say is credible messengers or OGs, but we're trying to move away from the former gang member type thing because some are still connected, and we need that. We need folks that are more connected. I'm way disconnected, right? At least from the younger generation. Of course, there's individuals we mentor, we know, and things like that, but I'm talking about as a whole. But that's kind of like it in a nutshell when you talk about what we're trying to do, at least with the scholarship part. And of course, it entails a whole lot more outside of that and so on. And so we're working right now to finalize things, and we're hoping the pilot will begin next month. We're hoping by April 15th. The biggest part to me is, and the most important thing to me is the scholarship. We call them fellows, and that's the most important piece. And of course, before we start giving support services, they have to demonstrate that they're really moving forward towards change. And our goal, we're not trying to, the goal is not, it's focused deterrence. So that means that we're not trying to say, hey, leave the gang and do all these other different things, but we want the gun violence to stop. The objective is to reduce gun violence. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Thank you, Bishop Bowser. Any questions?
Yeah, I have, well, not a question, but kind of like a question. In Richmond, California, in 2016, they did a program called Advanced Peace.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so this sounds very familiar to that. So it had really good results. And it was given to people who had committed violent crimes, who were in, were court, basically, parole, probation. And the result of these individuals that were given this fellowship in the training to get into a job was like the recidivism dropped like almost significantly in Richmond. And for those you don't know, in Richmond is near Oakland, the homicide rate there at one time was just off. It was just really, really bad.
Right.
And they implemented this program as like a kind of like a pilot program, and it took off.
Yes.
And it did really well. So if you can bring that down here, I think it would have the same results. Thank you.
And thank you, Mario, for that. I really appreciate that, because that's very important for people to know. And that's what we try to do, is all the different models that we use is evidence-based. It's been proven to work. And the other thing I'll say about that program has been so successful to where that they have it in Sacramento now. I believe they already started in Fresno, and I think they have it in Stockton, to my understanding. And I just met with Khalid, and I know Julius, we're all on a network together working statewide. Devon started it, Devon Boggins started it, and so on. So they're willing. I talked with Khalid. Khalid is willing to come down before we get this started, and we'll send someone, probably Devon, who started it, and come down and do a presentation on it as far as how it's been effective and how they got it started up there also. And of course, they even willing to, take a greater role in this, because it's something that they started. But I told them we have to talk about that a little later. But they have no problem with what we're doing here, using that model here.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you, Bishop.
Mhm.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you all. Good seeing you all again.
Okay. Nice seeing you, Bishop.
Yeah. All right. I gotta check on out.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So with that, we're going to go back to the agenda and go to Commissioner Dana Brown on the Youth Standing Committee. I think you have a presentation.
I'll move through this very quickly. So please recall last July 6th, last summer, the commission approved our collaborative partnership with Solano Prison in Vacaville. And so we, at our youth committee meetings, which are the third Tuesday of each month from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we always start with a land acknowledgement. We're all here on Kumeyaay Nation here where I reside, and we have 4 tribes in San Diego County. That's also the Payum Kawichum, the Capeño, and the Kahia. And we honor all the ancestors of those 4 tribes, past, present, and future, as much as we honor all of your ancestors and your survivance and your resilience and your indigenous wisdom within each of us. And then we remind the youth leaders that our commission was unanimous at the City Council in 2015, supporting a trauma-informed approach to addressing and preventing gang violence. Here's our last retreat that we had at the Mission Trails. I think we would just, Mario had just led us in a land acknowledgement out there, I believe is my memory. And this was our group photo before we got started. This is just who we are, the youth committee. We are a standing committee, ages 15 to 25. Encourage all of our commissioners to consider having youth come and join our monthly meetings. And won't show the ACEs primer. I think we all know about that. The Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, largest public health study in our nation right here in San Diego County. We help our young people learn about the epidemiology of the ACE study and expanded studies, because the ACE study is only in utero at age 18. We all know traumas across the lifespan and out in the community. What impact is on the brain? How does it affect the body? Epigenetics, family history, and DNA, and always resilience building. And then we teach them about the impacts of different types of trauma: acute, chronic, complex, systems induced, and vicarious. And then, once they have a deepened understanding, and this is like a microcosm of that, it's a much deeper, then they can become much more well-informed advocates, especially with the understanding of systems-induced trauma. This is a 17-year-old we were flown up to present at the Department of Public Health, 220 folks in the room representing youth serving agencies up and down California. This was Chief Neslight's in there. This Chief Ruben Leva's in there. This was inside the Mid-City Police Division with Youth Voice, and the youth leaders that you see in the front, that was then Chief Shelley Zimmerman. They presented on ACEs science. I stepped to the side, and it's their presentation. And so we launched the youth committee in November 2017. There's Commissioner Genevieve Joes Wright with us. And this was when we were flown up to Sacramento to meet with legislative aides. And this is another picture of our youth committee. It was part of our annual report. in 2017. These youth leaders presented before they've presented to over 100 leaders pre-COVID from European delegation and all different nations. This was Near East and North African security leaders. This was African security experts. That was at the library in City Heights. This was to several folks. Jessica, 18 years old, presented to 20 leaders from 20 different countries in the European delegation. And it is exceptionally powerful and such self-efficacy to see a 17, 18, 19-year-old training folks from literally all around the world. This is why we're doing what we do. It's a Robert Wood Johnson grant image, and it's the difference. You can clearly see the difference between equality and equity. And these are youth-led equity projects. So we want our youth leaders to deeply understand the impact of inequitable practices and disparities. This was when Pastor Sandoval was announced as our, that was all the community support of the downtown when Pastor Sandoval was sworn in. And we worked with the Strong Families Thriving Communities, inner city youth from mainly City Heights and Southeast got together. That was the San Diego Foundation funded that initiative, focused on disparities in child welfare and juvenile justice specific to African American, Latinx, and Native American families residing in San Diego County. So the youth leaders here put together these trauma-informed, youth-led code of conduct. This is the voice of the youth. This is how they want to be treated anywhere they go. The support, the safety, the communication, supportive staff. So the youth-led trauma-informed care code of conduct is something that we're integrating into different options with the youth leaders. Please recall back last July 7th, the commission approved this partnership with Solano Prison. So the youth leaders, some of them have chosen to write questions that they're curious about prison life. They email those to me, and I anonymously put together a document to send to the principal of the adult school up at Solano Prison, Dr. Lynn Ruvalcaba. And I wanted, this is the editor-in-chief of the resident-run newspaper at the Solano Chronicle, and I generally talk, Rudy generally calls me once a week from Solano Prison. He's a major networker. He went in life without the possibility of parole on one strike at age 18. And so this is, I'm a regular contributor to the Solano Chronicle. This was an article I wrote for the February issue of Humanizing Prisons and Jails in the United States. I reminded our youth leaders that in 2019, California tax dollars invested $12,134 to educate a child or adolescent in public education. In 2019, our California tax dollars invested $81,000 to house an individual in jail or prison. The Dr. Lynn Rubalcaba and the warden at Solano Prison want to humanize the prison. So our youth leaders, our commission, our youth committee is one strategy in helping. So what does that look like? So I want to quickly read these because of how powerful they are. They're going to be Rudy Murphy, who is a prolific writer. He actually wrote a book and said it's called The Gift. He found himself in prison and he thinks it's the best thing that ever happened to himself, even though he is life without the possibility of parole. And so he's going to be writing articles. He's bringing together different cultures of men within the prison. Typically, they stay with their own culture. So it's a very courageous thing to do of all the men that are coming together. And he is bringing together a panel of different cultures of men. So Indigenous and Asian and Latino and Caucasian, Black African American, and he's asking these anonymous questions from our youth leaders on the youth committee, and then he's going to write an article that will be in several upcoming monthly Solano Chronicle, which will be disseminated to 100% of the residents at Solano Prison, and also has an outward-facing communication listserv. So one of the questions was, do you think kids getting locked up at a young age should serve a life in prison? And Jim said the answer is no. Not only do I believe the kids should not do a life in prison, I believe no one should. The Solano Chronicle asks why. That's Rudy Murphy. First, we should never give up on our kids. Giving them that kind of sentence to anyone, let alone a kid, implies no hope. What you're telling that kid is they don't count. The attitude is, why don't I just do what I want? They understand this is the rest of your life. You seem pretty resolute in your belief. The mental struggle is hard enough for the men and women who get that kind of sentence. I actually have that kind of sentence. I'm a life without parole, an LWOP. I don't wish that on anyone. Solana Chronicles. So this is personal. Jim, no one should have a sentence that implies no hope. A lifer has the ability to face the parole board. LWOPs don't. I just want the chance to prove now I'm worth it. Personally, I'm never going to give up on the kids like people did on me. Solana Chronicles. So even now you can identify with a kid that has that time. Jim, I tend to bond more with LWOPs. I understand their pain. Usually that kind of sentence and ends the conversation with, can a person with that type of sentence change? What do you believe? We should never shut that door. When a person is ready to change their will, there has to be a sense of hope that can be instilled in them. If not, the person can just go ahead and give up. And we know out here that suicidal ideations and suicidal completions are one of the major deaths for our adolescents. So so all of us here that are collectively part of the solution, I really want to honor every single one of you. Here was one more. Do you regret not listening to your parents telling you not to hang out with the wrong crowd? Damon, yes, I regret it. Why? I was a kid. My young mind could not comprehend the pearls of wisdom they were dropping. It took me years to realize what they saw, I didn't see. So looking back at your younger self, what did you see and what do you see now? As a youngster, I thought I was invincible. Now I realize I'm just a drop in the bucket. Humility and compassion were things I overlooked. Sounds like you learned a little something. I learned after I matured, Damon shared. My existence is that drop in the bucket. For me, I've come to understand it's all about service. The biggest thing that was what I actually learned from my direct victim, Mr. Ryan. I'm here for shooting him in the face, yet he has come to visit me twice already. Wow, that's incredible, man. And the final one I wanted to share was, why do you think some prisoners listen to their friends more than family? It was an anonymous question from one of our youth leaders. Because they're missing something from their family, like either love or acceptance. Solana Chronicle, can you elaborate? Steve, using my personal experience growing up, I had other siblings, but I felt alone. Both my parents worked, so they never spent that one-on-one time. I basically felt no intimate connection. The Solana Chronicle, so who became your family? Steve, my friends. I used them to fill that void in my life. If someone was dealing with that right now, what would you say? Steve, during that time, I felt that no one was going through that. I hope this lets others know they're not alone in that feeling of isolation and sadness. The Solana Chronicles, so you've been there. Yes, and although it's hard, it's something you can grow from and not be stuck in that low self-esteem. So Rudy Murphy, the editor-in-chief, has already had 3, I actually have them right here. I get these envelopes from prison. And he actually has already put together 3 different panels of men. So our youth leaders here, City Heights and Southeast, we have some tribal youth that have joined us. They are literally helping. The intention inside Solano Prison is to increase that cultural sensitivity and awareness, to increase that shared sense of humanity. We're 99.9% the same DNA. And on the inside, he wants the residents there to know that the outside community cares about you. And we were trying to intentionally tether this intentionality of how we can help our youth leaders make a difference. And then we have a partnership with 16 Strong Project. They're out of New York. And we have guests from, say, San Diego were there. They're doing a game night and putting together a youth group. So that is super cool. And then they also say San Diego was there presenting on their drug and alcohol counseling, which is free counseling that's really focused on 12 to 26 with justice impact youth or homeless youth, and no charge. It's all free. It's services provided by Say San Diego. They also have their Elevate Youth, their substance and abuse counseling. So we have a wonderful partnership with Say San Diego that joined our youth committee and our youth leaders. If they choose to, they can write an article in Indian Voices, which is a digital newspaper here in San Diego County that promotes and shares Native and Indigenous values and traditions. And then we have them sign in and we thank them for their time. So that's our wonderful youth.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. You're always very informative. Really appreciate that update. Do we have any questions? So I see none. So Commissioner Brown, thank you again for all you do. Um, I'm convinced you're busier than I am, and my wife thinks I'm busy. So you know, done something. Congratulations. I'm going to go to the next agenda item, and that's to Commissioner Genevieve Jones-Wright for the Documentation Ad Hoc Committee update.
Thank you, Dr. Hood. And I will probably need your help as well as Pastor Sandoval's help in giving this update. I am prepared to give an update as to our November 16th, 2020 letter to City Attorney Mara Elliott. I'm not sure if any updates were given at the last meeting regarding the letter. Okay, so on behalf of the Gang Commission, Dr. Hood and myself sent a letter to City Attorney Mara Elliott dated November 16th of last year. This letter was entitled Urgent Request for a Legal Analysis Regarding the San Diego Commission on Gang Prevention and Intervention's recommendation for the elimination of all civil gang injunctions in the city of San Diego. On September 9th of 2019, the full commission voted to recommend to the mayor and city council that all civil gang injunctions be eliminated within the city of San Diego. On October 9th, a month later, Pastor Sandoval sent a memo over to the mayor advising the city of our recommendation, on which city attorney was copied. There was a 9-month period where there was no response to the recommendation. And so we had asked for a response by September 14th of 2020 from the city attorney. On September 3rd of 2020, we received a reply which was entitled Update on Gang Injunctions, that was prepared by the Assistant City Attorney John Hammerling, and a detailed coordinated efforts with the San Diego Police Department to seek court orders to remove individuals from the 2 gang injunctions over which the city of San Diego has purview. That particular update did not address the recommendation that was mentioned and highlighted and was the subject matter of the memo and the recommendation by this commission to remove all gang injunctions. So in light of that, we sent the November 16th, 2020 letter to the city attorney asking that we be given a legal analysis of our recommendation within 30 days of November 16th, which would have set us right about December 16th, when we should have heard a response back from the city attorney providing us with a legal analysis. To date, I have not heard from the city attorney, and I'm not sure if Dr. Hood has or Pastor Sandoval, but given the timeline, we would be 3 months outside of the 30-day window where we were asking for a legal analysis.
Thank you for the update, and you were right on as far as the timeline of the, you know, the submission of the letter, the emails, the recommendation. And so I explained this process to, so Joel Day, Dr. Joel Day used to be over Office of Boards and Commission. And now we have a new person over that, Matthew Gordon. And so I think he wants more information on this, and perhaps establish a separate meeting with the gang documentation subcommittee to kind of revisit the whole history of it, the frustration of the timeline, everything that went up and down the chain of command, the legalities, who has jurisdiction, who doesn't, and then to see if there's anything he can do to push it forward. And so
yeah,
that's
yeah. I have not heard anything, have not received anything. I would follow up on Pastor Sandoval. That was going to be my recommendation, that Pastor Sandoval, if you would set up a meeting that would include me, Commissioner Genevieve Wright, and yourself with Matthew Gordon. Number one, I believe the letter that was sent to the city attorney was sent to all of the commissioners. If not, if you could send it out again so they'll know what we're talking about. And if you can send that letter prior to the meeting. So that would be my recommendation, to set that meeting up, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Okay.
Got it.
Any of the commissioners have a update? Any questions? Okay. Any other input, Commissioner Genevieve Wright?
I don't have any
Okay.
more input. I don't know if Commissioner Vasquez was about to say something. I felt like he set up a little bit, so I want to make sure that we don't overlook anyone.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm sorry. I was just turning the camera back on.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. What I'm going to do is, we're scheduled for 2 hours. We've got about 20 minutes to go. So I'm going to do a, to the chair's report. And let me just pull up my presentation. So I serve as one of the tri-chairs for the county COVID-19 vaccine advisory group with the county. It's myself, Dr. Gail Knight at Rady's Children, and Dr. Kadakia with the county. And the purpose of the advisory group is to advise the county as far as processes, policies, and especially around vaccine distribution. The goal is to try and make sure that the vaccine distribution gets done in an equitable manner. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of some of the information that I shared at our last meeting. This is really the whole process of distributing the vaccine was supposed to initially made by the CDC. They made recommendations. It then goes to the state, and the California Department of Public Health then agrees, it doesn't agree, and then they make recommendation, and then it comes down to the county. And basically, many of the equitable distribution of the vaccine was adopted directly from the CDC and from the state. This was, it was rolled out in phases, mainly because they knew when the vaccine was approved that it wouldn't be enough of the vaccine to give to everybody at once. So they created a priority list. Over here was phase 1A, where acute care facilities, physicians, nurses, janitors, et cetera, that worked in these facilities were the 1A priority, followed by skilled nursing care, long-term care facilities, paramedics, emergency service personnel, et cetera. This began several months ago, and many of these folks have already been vaccinated, and we moved to phase 1A. It was like 1A and then 1A tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So there's different tiers. We've kind of opened these tiers up and have vaccinated many of the folks that fall into these categories. Where we are now is in phase 1B. We're now vaccinating persons age 75 and older, and that includes persons who are frontline essential workers at risk of exposure. So identifying folks by their exposure due to their jobs or frontline personnel. And the hope is by the 15th of March to go to 1C, which really includes everybody else. So everybody 16 years and older. So you may wonder why the children below 16 are not being vaccinated. And that's because we now have 3 vaccines that have been approved: the Moderna vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And the trials for all of those were in 16 years and above, not children. So there was no data to approve or say, let's vaccinate children. All 3 of the vaccine manufacturers have started the phase 2, phase 3 studies in children that are ongoing now, and it is expected probably by mid-late summer to have some data to hopefully make a recommendation as far as children beginning at 6 months to about 15 years of age. But that data is not there yet, so therefore children are not getting vaccinated. The other rationale is that children are at much less risk. And even when they do get it, their disease is not as severe as adults, although that's not to say that some children get it and do suffer some chronic problems, but for the most part, children are not as affected by the COVID as adults. This is a dashboard of what's taken place in San Diego County. And as of the 18th of March, San Diego County, as of a few weeks ago, was doing the best of all the counties in California as far as the number of doses they received and the success at getting the doses in the arms of patients. So as of the 18th, 1.4 million doses have been put into the arms of San Diego residents. I'm sorry, 1.4 million doses were received, and of that, 1.3 have actually been put into the arms of the residents. This is what's pending, and you hear that sometimes various sites are closed down or your appointment is delayed, and that is really not the county, it's really the shortage of the vaccine. But San Diego is doing quite well as far as when they get the doses, administering the doses in a very efficient manner. Over here, this is the residents, so San Diego County residents that have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine is 745,370. That's about 27.7%. As you know, 2 of the first 2 vaccines require 2 doses to be fully vaccinated. The new J&J vaccine only requires 1, and most of the fully dosed who received 2 were at 17.5%. So this is going up every week, every day. And as I said, San Diego has been very efficient at vaccinating its population. This is just demographics showing by age, who's getting vaccinated. This is showing by gender, and this is showing by race and ethnicity. And I'm going to come back to some of the data over here. As you know, one of the main functions of the advisory committee is to look at the equity. So Dana showed a graph showing the difference between equal and equity, and the same thing in health. This is one of the first things folks looked at when it hit. There are certain populations that are impacted by the COVID much more so than other populations, and especially if you're talking about race and ethnicity. So when we compare to our Caucasians, Native Americans, Alaskan Natives, 1.8 times many cases, Asians, non-Hispanic, 0.6, Blacks 1.4, Latinx 1.7. Hospitalizations are much higher with the people of color, especially Blacks at 3.7, Latinx at 4.1, and then deaths are almost 3 times greater in the Black, Latinx, Native American populations. So that's important that if they're being more severely impacted, you want to redistribute your resources to try to impact that. The other is why do some people get more seriously ill? So what we know is that comorbidities, that means chronic diseases that people have, increase your risk of severe disease and death. So because you have diabetes, hypertension, or chronic kidney disease, does not make you more susceptible to get the virus. But if you do get the virus, it makes you more susceptible to wind up in the hospital, get the severe form of the disease, and actually die. And this is some of the data showing, like with asthma, 1.5 times, hypertension 3 times, obesity 3 times. And then if you have multiple comorbidities, it's 4.5 to 5 times. So again, this is part of the rationale for focusing on at-risk individuals, trying to get these individuals vaccinated first to decrease their risk. And the other risk factor is age. So you can see, looking at the comparison group of 18 to 29 years of age, as one gets older, the risk of hospitalization is much greater. If you get some old person like me who's in this age group, it's 8 times higher hospitalization, 220 times increase in death. So you can see just age alone significantly increases your risk of hospitalization and death. Some frightening statistics is that if we look at life expectancy here in the United States as of 2017, the average life expectancy for the US population is 78.6 years. However, if we look at the average life expectancy by ethnicity and race, there's a significant difference. Asians have the highest life expectancy of 86.5, Latinx 82.8, white 78.9, Native American 76.9, and Black 74.6. This is a lecture in itself, but looking at that, there's some new data just published in the Vital Statistics Rapid Release. Each year, they measure the life expectancy in the country, and they measure it by race and ethnicity. Compared to 2019, in the first 6-7 months of 2020, there was a significant drop in life expectancy for the US population. Whites, life expectancy dropped 0.8 years. For Hispanics, it dropped 1.9 years. For Blacks, it dropped 2.7 years. So you can see when a pandemic or catastrophe hits, it affects the most vulnerable populations the worst. So I think this is one of the arguments that I use in our communities, especially Latinx and Hispanic, as to there's a lot of disbelief out there about how severe this pandemic is, and that it's equivalent to the flu, or it's not that bad. It takes about a decade or more to gain a year in life expectancy. So, but within 6 months, this is what's happened to our population. So there was a lot of discussion if we're just using age, is that an equitable measure, or should we be using age and race? This is data from our county on the 15th showing who received the vaccine. So the goal that has been trying to achieve in San Diego County is that we want to make sure the most vulnerable populations are getting the vaccine when they should. This here is the percent of population in San Diego County of 16 and older. 30.2% are Latinx, 47.2% are white, 5.1% are Black, Asian 13.4, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders 0.4, etc. When we look at what percent have actually gotten the vaccine, you can see that the Latinx, Blacks, and the Asian populations are vaccinated below their population, where the white population is 49%, and they only make up 47%. And another way to look at that is the vaccination rate per thousand. And you can see Blacks have the lowest vaccination rate. So there's many reasons for that. We talk about chronic disparities and structural racism. Well, that exists in the health system. Part of it is vaccine hesitancy, which is higher in some of the minority populations. So we're trying to develop strategies to overcome these numbers. Another way to look at it, I showed you the age rationale. So people 65 and 75 and older, now 65 and older. In San Diego, 57.7% of the Latinx population, 65 and older, have been vaccinated. 67% of whites, only 44% of Blacks, 52% of Asians. So just by using age, it sounds fair, but not necessarily equitable if you look at these numbers. And the reason is this: if we looked at the number of deaths, of percent of deaths below the age of 65, 37% of Latino, 37% Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders are dying below the age of 65. Blacks, 27%, but only 12% of whites are dying below the age of 65. So when you just arbitrarily choose an age of greater than 65, it's really favoring the white population over the minority population. So many of us had been advocating that it should be 65 and older for whites and 50 and older for others to make a difference. This again is showing you the impact, and this may also explain why the life expectancy nationally has impacted Latinx and Blacks much higher, in that a lot who are younger are dying, who are Black and Latinx, than white. So what is the strategy in giving vaccines? These were surveys that were done first in May of 2020, and then they repeated it 4 months later in September. And the question was, what percent of adults who say they would definitely or probably get the vaccine for COVID? In May, it was about 76, 69%, men and women. 4 months later, it went down. With age, it was 84% to 67% that agreed to it. 4 months later, it had gone down. If we look at race and ethnicity, in May, it was here. 4 months later, it went down, with Blacks having the largest vaccine hesitancy of all groups, and then education. So we can see vaccine hesitancy varies mostly by race and ethnicity, educational, and age. Now, what happened during this period of time? This was when there was a lot of confusion, mixed messages coming from the trusted sources that we usually have at the government, at the FDA, CDC. We were talking about warp speed vaccines and not really discuss what that well. So there was a lot of already uncertainty before vaccines, but during that period of time, there was a lot of confusion. I can tell you that since September, since the vaccines have come out, these numbers have improved, but there's still a lot of hesitancy. So one of the strategies has been the San Diego COVID Equity Task Force that I chair. It has over about 150 participants. We meet every month, second Tuesday. It started out with a bunch of multi-ethnic physicians, nurses, and healthcare workers. Now involves San Diego Department of Health and Human Services on all of our meetings. We got state and local officials, the county board of supervisors. If they're not there, many of their staff is there. City elected officials are participating. We got faith-based participants, university academic representatives from UCSD and San Diego State, many community-based organizations such as the NAACP and other community-based organizations and multiple immigrant and ethnic organizations. And what we do is we serve as an incubator for community-based solutions for equitable COVID interventions. We're responsible for spearheading free COVID test sites at the highest impacted communities. We've influenced the County Department of Health and Human Services to distribute multi-ethnic COVID-19 outreach and educational grants to Latinx, Black, Asian, and immigrant communities. And I'll talk a little bit about that, about the grants that were given to those communities and what they're doing. And then we have a community resource for COVID-19 updates in education. And this collaboration really serves as a synergistic equity collaboration. So we got Alliance Healthcare Foundation, which is a philanthropy group, participates. They've donated funding to several of the community-based organizations for vaccine hesitancy. We have the San Diego County District Attorney, Cheryl Suing Jones, participates on this from Sumner's office, and she gave a wonderful talk about domestic abuse and COVID. We have help Blue Cross or Blue Shield or Promise Health that participates. They saw the need and donated funding for food insecurity. And then the County Board of Supervisors at that time, led by Nathan Fletcher, has been very supportive in creating policies and funding for the outreach initiatives. So part of the strategy and the vaccine is we feel there's three groups of folks: those who are vaccine acceptors, meaning they have no problem taking the vaccine. The problem is, how do they get it? Is there going to be a cost? What are the barriers to get them there? Is there enough capacity and vaccine? So developing a whole strategy to make sure that those that are willing to get it can get it in a timely manner. Then, of course, we have the vaccine hesitant groups, and I showed you some data on that, and it really varies by race and ethnicity, education. Many of the grants have been funded to organizations that focus on specific ethnic groups, and they're doing education, scientific data, trusted messengers, engaging faith community, sorority fraternities, and healthcare providers, getting the message out to take the vaccine. Then almost no matter what we do, there's going to be the vaccine objector. That is somebody because of religious beliefs or holistic beliefs, just said they don't believe in the vaccine, they're not going to take the vaccine. And our approach is to approach everybody with love, knowledge, and understanding. And even with these, the goal really is to get 75% of the 3 million people in San Diego County vaccinated. So we, in order to reach herd immunity, so we almost don't have to get everybody. But for these individuals, we stress mitigation, healthy lifestyle, wearing masks, etc. I'm a strong believer in vitamin D, C, and zinc. There's a recent articles come out about vitamin D and how it boosts the immune system and suggests that it may give some resistance to COVID. It is not a vaccine. It will not do the same thing as the vaccine, but I take it each day, and I heard that Dr. Fauci takes it as well. So here's what the county is doing. The county has identified community-based organizations. One was the Multicultural Health Foundation, Mental Health of America, Chicano Federation collaboration. This is a collaboration of about 5-6 different organizations focused on the Latinx community. They have the United Pacific Asian Community, UPAC, Women of East Africa and Somali focused on the refugee immigrant community, Native American Association focused on the Native Americans. So you can see, instead of the county trying to do this on their own, they have funded various organizations to focus on these communities based upon the data that I just showed. The Multicultural Health Foundation that I am president of has received one of those grants. We've been charged with focusing on the county, on the Black population, especially because they're the most resistant to any vaccine or treatment. There's a website called blackcovidfacts.org. And a lot of the website is designed to kind of give factual information, scientific-based information, information to minimize myth. And you may have seen one of the TV ads.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
So after the ad goes, it shows blackcovidfacts.org. This is one that was put together by the Multicultural Health Foundation. The other organizations that I showed you have also started putting various outreach material together focused on specific minority populations. And okay, sorry about that. I think I may have lost you, but let me just stop there and see if you have any questions. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Hood, for that presentation and for keeping us in the loop as you're spearheading this COVID movement with your whole team. We appreciate that. We are over time. It's 8:04. And so the only thing I wanted to say, if anyone doesn't have any questions, I'm going to speed through my bullet points.
Okay.
No, okay. Thank you, Dr. Hood. And so first bullet point, our tactical plan is on the online currently. So I want to encourage everyone to go to the Commission on Gang Prevention Intervention website. Want you to get familiar with it so that if you know any folks that need resources, you can have them go in that direction so that the public, when they want to know what the commission is doing, they can look at the tactical plan and kind of see what each of the commissioners signed up for as far as an objective and a goal under our overall mission and vision as a Commission on Gang Prevention. So that's online currently. The Seasons of Peace, No Shots Fired, the pilot program that Bishop Bowser presented on earlier. He didn't mention that it also comes with a CBT curriculum. It's a forward-thinking, interactive journaling that we're going to be doing the wraparound model specifically with those that have gun charges or a history of that as well. Our community wraparound gang prevention intervention meetings are now held in person with social distancing every Monday. Any of our commissioners are welcome to attend. We're doing it at the UPAC Center currently, and that's kind of like where we get folks coming out of the jails, the prisons, juvenile hall, and we kind of give them a general view of what's out there in the community and which organizations are serving them, where they can get jobs, where they can get training. And so we kind of give them a landscape of what's out there of resources. So if you know any youth or adults that they would want an orientation of the resources we have, we do that at Community Wraparound every Monday. We do it with the dinner. It's a fellowship atmosphere, breaking bread. We got guys that are coming out of the prisons after doing 30, 40 years, long stretches of time. And so that's happening every Monday. And I also want to take this time, we want to welcome a new commissioner that's going to get commissioned on April 6th, Armand King. He's with Paving Great Futures. Armand, are you still on?
He was on earlier, sorry.
Okay. And so Armand, just wanted to give him a shout out on April 6th. If anybody wants to join, he's going to be a new commissioner representing a community-based organization. And we also want to thank Commissioner Ray King for the time you served over the course of all the years. We appreciate you coming on board. And even if a commissioner's term is up, I know that everyone's still passionate about the work that we do in the community. I want to encourage commissioners that even when their time is up, to still stay connected. We still want to stay connected with your organization and the work that you're doing. So we appreciate that. That being said, my new boss, Matthew Gordon, his top priority is reappointment. So any commissioners that have served over their term or their term has expired, he's getting new folks on board. And so just wanted to give that shout out. Is Armand King back or no?
No, I don't see him.
Okay. And then last but not least, our CAST, Community Assistance Support Team meetings are held the second Thursday of every month, 8 a.m. We have 45 to 50 people on there, and it's a time to touch bases on a monthly basis with what's going on in the community. And I'm always trying to recruit. If you have any volunteers, the harvest is plentiful, the workers are few. And so if you have any folks that want to give back to the community, that want to get out there from mentoring the youth, helping with jobs, logistics, admin, whoever you have, we can onboard them with any of our grassroots mobile response teams. When shootings and stabbings happen, we're around the clock helping to respond to those incidences. So want to thank each and every one of you for your love, your commitment to our communities across the county, and the collaboration that you do, your heart, your mind, your wisdom. It speaks volumes. We're a role model to the nation, to cities across the state. And so I personally want to thank you, and keep your families in prayer. Blessings upon you, your families, your agencies, your organization, because it truly does take a village to raise a child. And so I want to thank each and every one of you.
Okay. So thank you, Pastor. Let me make an announcement. We really want to get as many folks vaccinated as quickly as possible. You just saw that they're opening up pretty soon to 16 and above, and you had to have some risk parameters. Those have actually been liberalized. So if you or anybody in your family feels that you need to get vaccinated and you're not sure, please email me. The other is that if you're a caregiver, so you may have a grandmother or somebody in your household that you care for, but we call them informal caregivers. we are now prioritizing them. So if your grandmother is getting vaccinated and you're a caregiver, we will vaccinate the caregiver as well, no matter what your age or risk is. So please get that word out. Lots of folks are not aware of that, but that would be very helpful. So I know in my practice, I had one patient, but we vaccinated 4 folks who lived in the same household. The first thing you do is call your provider. And if you don't get a response there, you can go to the website of the county, and they list all the vaccination sites. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I'll be happy to get you in contact with somebody that I think can help you get vaccinated. Thanks.
Thank you. Last quick question, Dr. Hood. Just along those lines, do we know if this is probably a bigger conversation, but I want to preface it. Our population that's currently locked up, is there any conversation about having vaccines for those folks that are currently locked up?
Yeah, so that is really being handled through the federal system. So that really doesn't necessarily go through the county. And so I don't really have a lot of information on that, but I do understand they are now being vaccinated. They were prioritized, but I can't give you the numbers. And that's simply because that goes through the federal system and not through the county or state. Okay. Okay. So I want to echo Pastor Sandoval's words, and have enjoyed working with most of these wonderful faces I see on the thing, and want to thank for all your dedication. I'm sorry we went over, but I think it was worthwhile, and I will take a motion to adjourn. Okay. Okay. So it's been moved to adjourn. Meeting is adjourned, and see you at our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Pastor.
Let's get together, brother, for some food, man.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
And we need to get Arthur out so we can take him out for his birthday for lunch or something.
It was his birthday today.
Yeah.
We need to give him a couple. Nah.
old school, Bamba.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Give me a call.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.